Now start with these cross subsidies and need for different tariffs. Why this thing is required? Because electric electric price to generate the electric energy, some cost is involved, and that is called the cost of generation. And this cost of generation consists of some fixed cost, variable cost, all these things. One minute, please. Now, this is actually the cost of generation. Now, not only the cost of generation is involved when you fix the tariff, the cost of transmission is also involved to fix up the tariffs, because the whatever is generated in the power plant, that power is not taken just besides from the power plant. It need to be transmitted over a long distance through the overhead transmission line. Then so many apparatus are required for protecting this line, as well as maintaining the power quality of that generated power. Then in the customer side, it is need to be stepped down, and then it is need to be distributed. So many things are involved for maintaining all these things, to protect all these things, and combining all the cost, the tariff is fixed. Now why this thing, why it is coming the subsidies? So it means that as the selling price of the electrical energy is not same along different types of consumer, that's why the subsidies came. Why it is not same? Because some of the consumers are there who actually brought maximum portion of the electric energy generated. So that's why the rate for the per unit to this type of consumer who actually consuming more amount of electricity is less, but the profit earned from that type of customer is high compared to the domestic thing. For the domestic consumer, the selling price is little bit high compared to that industrial thing, but this one is actually this one is actually the more profit is involved for selling the price to that customer who is actually bring or brought more amount of electricity. Now from the price from the profit which is gained from selling the price to that consumer is actually distributed, some part of the profit is given as subsidies to the domestic customer, so that the electric price should not be a burden to that type of customer. And this is called the cross subsidies. Means from somewhere they are actually gaining something, and from somewhere they actually put some part of that gain to thus to the domestic consumer, so that it should not be a burden to that consumer who is actually buying the electricity from them. Now, how many types of subsidies are there? There are four types of subsidies. Subsidies between different consumer, cross subsidies between different voltage grid, then the cross subsidies between different user, different load characteristics, and cross subsidies between different areas. So these are the four different types of subsidies. Cross subsidies, the electric company apply to the different domains or different consumer. So first come to this one, the subsidies between different consumer. What is the meaning of this one? So as I mentioned, that electric user are divided into four categories. One is the huge industry, then the general industry and commerce, and general industries and the commerce and others. Third one is the residential, and the last one is the agricultural production. So these are the main consumer for the electric domain. And the supply cost is not same. The supply cost of huge industry and general industry and commerce and the other is basically lower than the cost of residence and the agricultural production. Why? As I mentioned, that they actually contribute the huge amount of load demand or the maximum amount of load demand. That's why the supply cost is less compared to the resident and the agricultural product, which is actually contributing less amount of share. And as they are actually maintaining the base load, these industries are actually maintaining the base load as a high. That's why the selling price is less. But due to the strong profitability of endurance of industry and commerce, it undertakes a high level of price and bears the responsibility of electric tariff cross subsidies. So that's why, as they are consuming more amount of electricity, so the profit is more compared to the this uh, mm, compared to this resident and agricultural product. And some part of the This profit is distributed to these residents and agriculture production as a cross subsidy. So this is called the cross subsidies between different consumer. Second one, cross subsidies between different voltage grid. What is the meaning of this one? Now, as I mentioned that the power which is generated in the power plant is not distributed from its begin, from its just besides from the power plant. It need to be transmitted over a long distance, then it is distributed to the load center. And while doing so, there are so many of the voltage levels between this generation and the distribution. Like when it is generated, then it need to be step up to a ultra high, extra high voltage. Then this is again need to be the ultra high voltage transmission. After that, it need to be distribution, and distribution also are different types of this thing: 220 kV, 110 kV, then 33 kV, 11 kV, like this one. And ultimately, for the domestic user, the voltage is dropped down to 220 volt, and this voltage is the lowest magnitude voltage in the transmission and distribution, and it is called the residential or the domestic voltage. So you see that from the beginning, from the power plant which is generated to the transmission or generation to the distribution, there are so many voltage level, and which voltage level and which consumer is actually the long voltage level. Long voltage level means which one is actually the length of the voltage grid is high in which customer. This is actually the for the domestic consumer, because this domestic consumer is actually put in the last of this chain. If you consider it as a chain, then this domestic cost then the domestic consumer is actually put in the last of the chain, because this is the lowest voltage level in the transmission and distribution. So they are actually using the whole length of the chain, but they are, so that's why they need to pay a little bit extra compared to when the industries are taking these high voltage, say 1000 kV AC. So this is the extra high voltage. So this extra high voltage is not taking the full length of the transmission or the distribution line. Initially, the length is less. That's why they need to pay less. If you need explanation like this one, then it can be explained like this. Suppose this is our power plant. So this is our power plant. Power is generated here, and this generated power need to be transmitted over a long distance, and here this is our load center. Now, between this transmission, the unit voltage is not transmitted. Here several voltage levels are there. Initially, suppose low voltage is generated, then it is then it is increased to using some step up transformer to a very high voltage, then extra high voltage or ultra high voltage. Then suppose in this time, suppose some industries are there. Now this industry is actually taking the 330 kV or even more this one. So they are actually the primary distributor. Then this is the domestic purpose of the secondary distribution. So you see that here different voltage levels are there. Suppose this one is 1000 kV. And we know that if we transmit the voltage with a very high voltage, if we transmit the power with a very high voltage, then the current is drastically reduced. And as the current is drastically reduced, it will produce very less amount of ohmic loss in the transmission line. So it actually maintain the stability, the losses are also less. So this is the advantage of high voltage transmission. And these high voltage transmission are different level. Then suppose this is in kV, this is in volt. So you see that different consumers are there. Suppose some of the huge industries are there, they actually need this amount of voltage. So these industries are placed here. And now you see that these industries are actually not taking the full length of the transmission or the distribution line. They're actually taking up to this. Okay, so to supply the huge power to this industry, only this amount of transmission line is required. But for the domestic purpose, the whole length of the transmission line is required. So as these particular industries required less amount of transmission line, so the supply cost of these industries is also low compared to the domestic consumer. So that's why the electric unit is sold to that particular industry with a lower price compared to the domestic consumer and these small industries like this one. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And as they are taking more amount of electricity, so their profit is also high. So some part of the profit is distributed to this one, and this is called the sub cross subsidies between different voltage grids. Here the concept is the why this one is actually why this domestic consumer charge high. The reason is that not like this one just to minimize the burden. Here the reason is that as they are actually taking the full length of the transmission line, so the supply charge or the supply cost is more to this domestic consumer compared to this huge industry who is actually taking very less amount of transmission line. The part of the transmission line is taken, so that's why the loss is different. The voltage stability is also very high, so the selling price is low. And as the selling price is low, but here the profit is very high, so that's why some part of the profit is given as a tariff to that consumer. And this is called the cross subsidies between different voltage grid. Now here the cross subsidies between different load characteristics. What is the meaning of this one? Here the higher the load rate of user is, the lower the unit power cost. The means is that if you consume more amount of electricity, then you need to pay less, because if you are consuming more amount of electricity, then you are actually taking part of the maintaining the base load, because as the base load is increasing, then the generating price is also decreasing. And to maintain the high base load, some consumer must take the electricity, some consumer must be consume more amount of electricity to make this base load high. And the reason is that the higher the load rate of user is, the lower the unit cost. However, this difference is not considered in the electric price. It is equivalent to the pricing based on average load rate of all the user. Therefore, user of high load rate subsidize user of low rate. Same as this, because high load means if you have consuming high load rate, then some part of your money is going as a subsidy to the user who actually consuming low rate. And cross subsidies between different areas. Here it means that some suppose uh, here suppose these industries are situated in a remote area, okay, and suppose this load center is situated in the, suppose in a multinational city, is a big city. So that means here to construct the all these things is a different, but here to supply the electricity in this remote place is a is a less costlier. Why this thing is there? Because to erect a tower, we need a permission in the domestic area or the densely populated area. So that's why for the domestic area or the densely populated area, generally it is taken as the underground cable. So that means the cost of the underground cable is also high. Why it is high? Because for the maintenance purpose, if some fault is there in the underground cables, then it is not visible. So using the Marley and Moore test, if people, the engineer need to find out where the fault is, and they need to erect all these things. So cost is involved for distributing the power using the underground cable. But for the densely populated area, for the safety purpose, you are not able to erect a pole and just supply the electricity. So that's why cost is involved if the population is very high or if it is in a very high populated city. And lower cost is there for supplying the electricity in this remote area, because in the remote area so many fields are left, and here you can easily erect some tower and connect the lines. So this is called the subsidies between different areas, the cross subsidies between different area. Where the supply cost is high, they need to pay at a high rate. Where the supply cost is low, these user need to pay at a low rate. Now come to this one, the last one of this chapter, the tariff. Here it's come the concept of availability based tariff. What is this one, availability based tariff? Now, this availability based tariff or ABT is a frequency based pricing scheme adopted in Indian power sector to maintain grid discipline by implementing incentive disincentive during unscheduled power interchange. So here you need to understand one thing, that what is called this unscheduled power interchange or UI, and what is the price scheme based on the frequency. Because here we need to maintain the frequency of 50 hertz as a constant, but sometimes we are not able to maintain this one, and there is a limit. Between this limit the frequency may fluctuate. If it is fluctuate within this limit, then also we can call the system is healthy. But the pricing is different if the frequency is changed from 50 hertz. If it is increased, then one type of pricing. If it is decreased, then one type of pricing. And this scheme was introduced in the year of 2002. So first, let's understand why this availability-based tariff is needed in the Indian power sector. Not only Indian power sector, in the whole world, the other worlds are actually adopted these things long back, but in India it started from 2002. So let's see why this availability-based tariff is needed. Then you will understand what is called this unscheduled interchange and how the frequency-based pricing scheme is fixed. So first of all, why this availability-based tariff is needed. So let's understand this one. So suppose this is our 50 hertz power. And we always want that according to the Indian electricity rule, this 50 hertz frequency should be maintained. And that may be varying from how much, how much frequency is allowed to vary. It may be varying from 49.5 hertz to 50.5 hertz generally, but sometimes it may goes below the 49, and sometimes it may increase beyond the 50 or 51. But generally, if it is varying between this 49.5 to 50.5, then we can say the system is healthy. Now what happened before the 2002, the scenarios was like this one. Suppose this is a grid, that one is the grid, and the user is actually not connected directly to the power station, they are connected to the grid. Why the grid system is required, or what is the advantage of grid system over the single islanding system? Islanding system means when a power plant is supplying a particular area, no other power plant is related to this one, only one power plant, only one load center. This is called the islanding concept. So initially the islanding concept was introduced, but there are so many disadvantages in the islanding concept. That's why the grid concept was introduced. Now, what is the advantage of grid concept? Just one single advantage. What is the advantage of grid system over the islanding system?
So to avoid failures in one power station.
That is called actually the reliability. So it
Yes,
actually increases the reliability. Reliability means that in case of islanding system means one power plant. So this one power plant is supplying the electric energy to a particular load center, and no other power plant is involved in this particular transmission. Now, based on the reliability, if the fault is happen inside the power plant, this power plant, it is very natural because these are all mechanical devices. So fault is one of the natural thing. So it may happen that due to some of the fault, the power is not being supplied to that load center through this power plant. So the reliability is very less here, and this power load center is actually need to be reliable with the power generation of that particular plant only. And on the failure of that particular plant, the power is not coming to this load center, and the total area is shut down until the power is regained or regenerated by this particular power plant. So here the reliability of the power supply is very poor. Second problem is that the power quality. What is the power quality? Because according to Indian electricity rule, for the domestic purpose, the voltage is should be within 230 volt, plus minus this 3%, and frequency should be 50 hertz plus minus 1%. So that means uh, the frequency and voltage should be maintained within a particular range. Now, due to some of the fault in this power plant, or due to some of the what do you call, the accidents, or the not maintaining everything properly, suppose the voltage and frequency level is different in this particular power plant. Now, as the load center is completely dependent upon this power plant generation, so whatever be the power they generate, this power is actually supplied to this load center, and this load center actually need that power. Otherwise, because there is no other power plant to supply this one, so whatever be the quality they generate, they need to accept this one. They don't have any other option. So based on this one, this concept are now obsolete. Islanding concept. Some part of the, therefore, the very non-conventional energy in a particular real island, say at some non-conventional energy, the power is generated, and this power is supplied to the very low load center or a few houses like this one. So they actually adopt this one. They actually accept whatever be the power quality generated by that small power plant. But now in India, this concept is there. The power plant should generate the power, and they should supply it to a particular grid, and the consumer is actually connected to the grid. Now, while doing this one, the one of the major advantage is that the reliability will increase, because in this grid, if suppose so many power plants are there which is actually supplying the electricity to the grid, so if one power plant is not able to supply due to some of the maintenance work or due to some of the accident happen there, then no problem, the power is connected to the load center through the other power plant. So this is one of the problems. So here the reliability is increased a very high rate from the Icelandic concept, and second one is the maintaining the power quality, obviously, because these are all parallel operation. All this power is connected here. So if one voltage, one frequency, or one power, one magnitude is different, then the whole system will become some disturbance will be there in the whole system. That's why it is a responsibility of the every power plant to generate exact amount of voltage magnitude and exact amount of frequency. Then only they are allowed to supply this power to the grid. So that's why it's a competition like this one. So everybody need to maintain this one. Otherwise, the grid authority not allow this power plant to supply the power to the grid. So here the power quality is also increasing. Now the problem is that why this availability based tariff is introduced. Before 2002, the concept was as much as energy you are generating and supplying to the grid, you are paid on that basis. Okay. Suppose you are supplying, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you are supplying 1000 megawatt, and you need to pay, or not you need to pay, you need to repay based on this 1000 megawatt. Whatever be the power you are selling to that particular grid, your price is based on this one. If you have a power plant which is able to generate 1000 megawatt with its maximum capacity, so this power plant must try to generate this 1000 megawatt, that is its maximum capacity, because if they generate less amount of electricity, then they pay less. But if they generate more amount of electricity, they will be pay more, because the pricing scheme is based on how much electric energy you are able to supply to that particular grid. That is the concept before 2002. But the problem is that, okay, so to understand this one, I just draw another power plant which has the maximum capacity of 500 megawatt, and they try to generate maximum 500 megawatt. So every power plant now try to generate, or was trying to generate this maximum amount, because as they are generating more amount of electricity, they will pay more. Now, suppose in a particular time of the day, the load demand is say 750 here for this user and 750 here. So 750 plus 750 equal to 1500, and this 1500 is satisfied by the load demand, which is generated 1000 megawatt for unit 1 and 500 megawatt for unit 2. So everything become healthy. Now this 750 megawatt is not a constant load demand, because you know the load demand is constantly changed in a whole day, and some of the time it is drastically increases or drastically reduced. Now some of the times of the day, if this 750 megawatt is now become say 500 and 500, it may happen that 750 megawatt load demand sometime it is decreased to 500 megawatt and 500 megawatt. Then what happened? The generation is more or the load demand is more?
Generation is more.
Generation is more because the load demand is now 1000 megawatt, but the generation is 1500 megawatt or 1500 megawatt, and none of the power plant is actually want to decrease its generation, because it's happened that if we just switch off this particular power plant, 500 megawatt power plant, then again the power balance is there, because this 1000 megawatt load demand is also 1000 megawatt, but this power plant not allow its generation to decrease 500 to 0. Why? Because if they are not generating anything, they will be not pay anything. So why they listen to this this advice? So they again try to generate 500 megawatts supply to the grid. Now in this condition, we call it when the generation is more than the load demand. What about the frequency? Frequency tend to increase or frequency tend to decrease? Then the frequency tend to increase. Why? If you just take the concept like this one, if you to understand this concept, suppose this is a car, this car is moving in this direction with 60 kilometer per hour. Okay, and say two persons are already sitting in this car, or you can say the weight of the two-person is say 130 kg. Now 130 kg load is applied to this car, and the car is moving with a constant speed 60 kilometer hour in this direction. Now what happened? If we are not change the accelerator setting of the car, that means we are not increasing any fuel or decreasing any fuel to the combustion chamber. Then if this 130 kg is decreased to 100 kg, then what about the speed of the car? Is it increase or is it decrease? If we not change any setting in the accelerator,
The speed will increase.
the speed will increase, because if we just allow same amount of fuel to the engine, then whatever be the torque or force the engine will develop, this is for 130 kg for moving 60 kilometer per hour. Now if the load is decreased and if we not decrease the amount of fuel consumed by the engine, then with this lower amount of load 100 kg, then the speed will obviously increase. And the opposite is happen in case of 130 kg. If the load become 150 kg and if we not change the accelerator setting, that means same fuel consumed by the engine, then what happen? The speed will tend to decrease. Okay. So the same concept is applied in this grid concept also. So when the when the power generation is more compared to the load demand, then the frequency tend to increase. Okay, and when the load demand is less compared to the power generation, then the frequency tend to decrease. This is everything is depend upon the load and the generation. If it is balanced, so 50 hertz is maintained. But if it is not balanced, if the load demand will tend to increase, so load demand will tend to increase means uh, the load demand is not full load demand is not able to supply by the generation. So in that time the frequency tend to decrease. And when the load demand is less compared to the generation, the frequency tend to increase. Okay. So you see that before 2002, as the load demand is changes continuously, but as the generation is fixed, so sometimes in a day the frequency tend to increase, sometimes in a day the frequency is decreasing. So that is a different difficult problem, because the quality of the thing is not maintained properly. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
So that's why the availability based tariff was introduced in 2002. Okay. Here, what is the concept? Concept is that, 1 minute, please. So the ABT tariff, ABT concept is that like this one. So this is the load demand and this is called the generation. So this is load demand and this is the generation. Now, when the generation is equal to the load demand, no problem. Because in that time, according to the grid rule, the 50 hertz is maintained, so no problem is there when the generation is exactly equal to the load demand. Now, when the load demand will increase, then what we need to do? When the load demand will increase, mean load demand is increased based on the generation. Then what we need to do?
We need to increase the generation.
No, not this one, not this concept, because that is the means load demand will increase or decrease based on the power consumption by the load center. It's not like this one. Means we actually want that generation should be equal to the load demand. But suppose in some of the case or some of the time it's happened that when the load demand is increasing beyond the generation, then we need to what? Then we need to do to increase the generation. Now, in that time, the amount, if it is not able to generate exactly amount of load demand, then what will be the problem? The frequency tend to decrease because as the load demand is more compared to the generation. So in that time, we need to generate more amount of electricity to meet that extra amount of load demand. And in this time, the uh, selling price of that extra amount of electricity will be more compared to the normal time. So let me clear this first. This is our generation and this is the load demand. And when the generation is equal to the load demand, suppose the price is 5 rupees per unit. Okay, the electric prices or the selling price is 5 rupees per unit. So this generating station need to get 5 rupees per unit from the grid. Now, when this load demand is high compared to the generation, then what happened? Then if this power plant or the whole amount of energy is not generated energy is not able to meet the load demand, then the frequency is try to decrease. That is a problem. So in that time, the grid will take the energy from the defined power plant with a higher rate, say 6 rupees per hour. Sorry, 6 rupees per unit. And when the generation is more than the load demand, then if nothing was controlled before the 2002, then what happened? The frequencies tend to increase. But now the selling price of that electric energy is reduced to 4 rupees per unit. Okay. So as the selling price will decrease, the generating station try to not generate much amount of electricity in that time, and they have to stop the generation. And if they have to some part of the generation, if they stop some part of the generation, then what happened? The energy again become equal to the load demand and frequencies remain constant. So this concept is called availability based tariff. When it is required, then only generate. When it is not required, then do not generate. But that do not generate was a advice before 2002 and nobody understand this advice, nobody accept this advice. Now it's become the rule. If you not decrease the generation, then you will not pay again. So no power plants are there who actually generating the electricity and not getting anything with respect to this one, with respect to the cell. So they are not interested to generating the electricity in that time. So the power plant have to decrease its generation in this condition when the generation is equal or generation is more than the load demand. So some part of the power plant must decrease lower amount of electricity or must generate lower amount of electricity compared to the previous case. Because if they are generating more, nobody will pay for this extra amount of electricity. So why they generate? Because for generating the electricity, some cost is definitely involved. So they are actually spending some money for generating extra amount of electricity, but nobody goes to pay for this extra amount of electricity. So they are not interested to generate extra amount of electricity in that time. They have to decrease this one. And this is called the availability based tariff. Initially, that concept was not there. The concept was as much as you generate, the grid have to buy this electric energy. So every power plant try to generate as much as they can. But the problem was, as I shared, that sometimes the load demand is increase or decrease. And if the load demand is more than the generation, then frequency tend to decrease. And if the load demand is less compared to the generation, the frequency will increase. So when the load demand is increases, we need to increase the generation. When the load demand is decreases, we need to decrease the generation. And every power plant must obey this rule. But nobody obey the rule until the fine is there. And this is actually the fine. In case of when the generation is less than the load demand, we will pay high to generate more amount of electricity. So everybody is very interested to generate more amount of electricity in that time. But if the generation is more compared to the load demand, after a certain time you will be pay less, and after that you will not pay anything for supplying the electric energy to the grid. That example is also there with the explanation in these notes. Here it is. Okay. So this one is also written here. This one. Here it is written everything. That suppose 600 megawatt is there, and in case of 600 megawatt, if you supplying 700 megawatt, then who will pay for the extra 100 megawatt, and what will be the rate for paying this extra 100 megawatt, and is it sometimes is it not paying when it is try to disturb the grid frequency. So this is the concept of availability based tariff. Mean based on the availability of the load demand, you need to change your generation. And if you adopt this one, then it's good. If you not adopt this one, then you doesn't pay for this electric energy supplied. And obviously you're not interested to generate the electricity with a higher price and not getting anything with respect to that one. And this difference is called the UI. Okay, this difference. That means if the load demand is exactly equal to the generation, there is no difference between the generation and load demand. But if the load demand is increase or decrease, then the difference is called the UI charges, unscheduled interchange charges, because that one is not scheduled anytime. Okay, it is not scheduled for a whole day. We know that when in a whole day the load pattern will be there, we can assume this one, but it is actually the online thing. Means when the supply is there, when the supply is connected to the distributor or the load center, then also these changes will be made. And this one is called the unscheduled interchange. So unscheduled interchange is nothing but the difference between the generation and load demand. If it is zero, no problem. But if it is not zero, then we have to take some action. So everything is written here. And this ABT is actually the combination of the capacity charges and then the energy charges, then UI charges. This capacity charges is nothing but the fixed charges or the fixed cost. Then the energy charges mean how much you are actually generating. And this is actually the variable cost. And this variable cost is actually how much you are generating. If you are generating more amount of energy, you will be pay high. For lower generation, you will pay low. So this one is based on the generation. The capacity charges you based on your capacity. That means for a higher power plant, as the fixed charges is more, so the capacity charges is also more. Then the UI charges. UI charges means unscheduled interchange charges. And this one is based on your online load transaction. Means during the power demand is less compared to your generation, you need to generate more and you will be pay more per unit in that time. But if the power generation is more compared to the load demand, you need to decrease your generation. Otherwise, either you will be fined or the subgrid authority will not pay anything to you for this extra amount of generation. So because this extra amount of generation is not only just to disturb the frequency of the grid. And this is the availability based tariff. Now there are some few points are there, that what are the factors which is actually causing the grid disturbance. Grid disturbance means the frequency of the grid is disturbed. And here you see everything is written easily, as if you just read all this paragraph, and there you can understand everything. The concept of means the factors which is actually affect the grid frequency. And there is a graph, and in this graph you see that what we need to understand from the graph. And so this is the UI rate, unscheduled interchange rate, and this is the frequency. Here you see the following points can be observed from UI rates versus the frequency graph. UI rate have two distinct slope. One is this one, another is this one. So now come to the first slope. UI rate increases linearly from 0 at 50.2 hertz. You see this one is the 50.2 hertz, and this one is actually the UI rate is actually starting from this one, because when the frequency is just 50 hertz, then no extra amount of or the decrease amount of interchange will not be paid. Whatever be the unit, whatever be the tariff, the grid is actually paying based on this one. Whatever be the energy you supplied, you just getting paid based on that unit rate. Now this extra and lower, this one is based on how much frequency you are actually, the frequency of the grid excitation. Now linearly from 0 at 50.2 hertz to 387.5 paisa per kilowatt hour, 49.7 hertz. So you see that 49.7, this one is actually, this point is actually 387.5. So thus the first slope is, this one is 0, the difference between the 0 and 387.5, and the frequency difference is 50.2 to 49.7. And if you just calculate all these things, then it is coming 775 paisa per kilowatt hour per hertz. So this is the UI price for the first slope. And for the second slope, after you see, after the frequencies changes from 49.7 to this 49.5, the UI rate increases linearly up to 49.5 with a slope of 2350 paisa per kilowatt hour. So you see that when it is try to deteriorate the frequency much more, then the price is also high. So this is the concept of ABT and the explanation. And at last, the power pool is there. Only one line, only one paragraph or two paragraphs are there. What is the power pool? Actually, in your syllabus, the power pool for the different transmission companies, this heading was there. Now, the concept of power pool is that this is actually the rules for supplying the electric energy to this grid system, because nowadays everything is connected to the grid, and here some of the interchange should be made. Interchange should be made means, if you are not able to supply the whole load demand initially, when the islanding concept is there, one power plant or two power plant supplying the load to a particular load center, then the problem is that whatever be the generation of the load center, the power plant should be made with this one. If it is increases, then the power plant must be need to increase the generation, and if it is decreased, then the power plant must decrease its generation to meet the load demand. Otherwise, the frequency is not remain constant. But the problem was, if the load center has a high demand, which is beyond the maximum generating capacity of this particular power plant, then what happened? Some part of the load center will be load shedded or facing problem with the electric energy, because as the power generation is, the power demand is more compared to the power generation. But in a grid, suppose this is a grid, and say 5 power plant is actually supplying the energy to the grid. Same concept we are adopted nowadays. Now no load is connected to that power plant. The load center are situated inside this grid, and all the load centers should get the electric power from the grid. They are actually taking the electric power from the grid, except taking the power from the direct power plant. Now here the advantage of this one, that suppose this load center has a huge demand which is not able to meet by that power plant. Why I mentioned that power plant? Because you see that power plant is very close to this load center. So if the maximum portion of the load is shared by this power plant, then the losses will be less. Because if this load center need to take the power from this one, then you see this power need to travel to a long distance, and here it will increase the losses. So that's why the concept is that the power plant which is close to your load center, you must take maximum portion of your load demand from that power plant through the grid, obviously. Now, if this power plant is not able to fulfill the load demand by that one, then it's not a problem. Some part of the load is supplied by that power plant, obviously. So that means here you see some interchange of power is there, because that load demand is not fully getting the power plant, this power plant. Some part of the load demand is connected to this power plant also. So between these two power plant, there is an agreement that how much percentage you shared here, how much percentage you share here. So this rule is written somewhere in the electric, or in the Power Grid Authority of India, and that is called the power pool. How much power is pulling from a particular power plant, this rule is written in the document format, and this is called the power pool. The grid is also, suppose the load center has a huge demand. Some of the load center is introduced, and here suppose huge demand, suddenly the huge demand is there. So in that time also, the power grid is not able to take or pull so much of the electric energy from this different power plant. So there is a restriction that how much power is pulling from the different power plant and how much power is not pulling. You are not able to pull infinite amount of electricity from the power plant which is connected to your grid, or you are not able to pull very low amount of power which is not satisfied the load demand. So that means everything should be optimized, and the rule for pulling the electric power from the different generating plant to the grid is called the power pool. Few basic rules are there, like your voltage profile should be maintained within the limit, your frequency profile should be maintained within the limit. You need to increase or decrease your generation within say half an hour with this amount, because sometimes as it will disturb the grid frequency. So when it is required, you need to decrease the speed, or you need to decrease the generation. When it is required, you need to increase that generation. So you people must be, the power plant must be able to increase or decrease the generation within a very short span of time, and this time is also mentioned here. So all these things are written as a rule and regulation, and this is called the power pool. Basically, the concept of power pool is that the regulation or the rules based on the grid taking or pulling the power from the generating station. Okay, the advantage and disadvantage, all these things is written here.
Sir,
The factor, the yes, the constraint, all these things.
পাওয়ার পুলিংটা কি বেসিক্যালি অ্যাভারেজ ডিমান্ডের উপর ডিপেন্ড করে নাকি ম্যাক্সিমাম ডিমান্ডের উপর?
কোনটা? Power grid.
পাওয়ার পুলিং?
No, power pooling is actually, it's not depend upon the, it's depend upon the load demand. Okay, load demand means whenever the load demand is changes, the total generation should be changed, like this one. Means the main concept is that whenever means every time in a day, try to meet the load demand. Load demanding is varying obviously, but sometimes it is varying abruptly, but maximum time it is varying in steps. So whenever the load demand is how much, your generation should be equal to that amount. If you able to maintain this one, then every time the frequencies remain constant, everything become very happy. So try to maintain the generation based on the load demand. If it is increased suddenly, then you people have to put some of the reserve capacity, so that suddenly means within 5 minutes you people need to supply that load demand. But the concept is that whenever the load demand is increase or decrease, your generation should be increase or decrease accordingly to meet the load demand is exactly equal to the generation. কিন্তু এইটা হচ্ছে লোড ডিমান্ডের সঙ্গে ডিপেন্ড করে না, এইটা হচ্ছে পাওয়ার পুলিং এর মেন ইয়েটা হচ্ছে যে the main rules and regulation হচ্ছে how much power you pull from a particular generating plant. This is based on this one. And what should be the quality of the power, and what should be the other thing the power plant need to be considered when they are actually selling the power to a grid. Means suppose you want to start a power plant tomorrow, and you want to sell the power, because this is a business. Anybody can set up a power plant and they can sell the power to the grid. But the regulation or rule based on which you can sell the power, or whatever be the criteria you need to meet to selling the power to the grid, everything is written on the power pool. And this concept is called power pool idea. বোঝা গেছে?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's a request that please go through this site, or if you just Google to this site, then if you have a site that's Sun Foundry, but this generally the Sun Foundry is a very good site, but for the lower semester, means for the first semester, second semester, they will provide everything, every objective type from different chapters from this semester. But as you are, this subject is a for the higher semester, so try the objective which is written here, because no, this is actually the concept of what is this one. Then just to find out the MCQ. These sites are actually the concept of power generation economics. So these MCQs are not there. So if I get the MCQ, then definitely I will share it with you. But I have some books, and these books have the MCQ. So I just try to copy all these things in a particular document, and will share it with you. And just read this one. It will help you a lot during this semester. Because in the semester, sometime you need to remember some of the formula to do the 2 marks numeric, 2 mark objective, but maximum time you people need to just remember something or some formula to solve the MCQ. ঠিক আছে?